history of the land in which Claggett is located is very interesting, and there are different eras, but there's a common theme. The first peoples who roamed this land, the Susquehannock, Nanticoke, the Piscataway peoples, they knew it as a place of refreshment. Then settled by the Europeans, became a farm and a plantation. And so while the land was rich in soil, it was impoverished by enforced human labor. In the later 19th century, toward 1900, the Baker family said, let this be a school to educate young folk. The diocesan usage of this land is its emphasis on reconciliation. Bishop Powell had said in the early 50s, this is a place where no child is turned away, no matter what color of their skin. Claggett has that legacy of bringing people together, even cross-racially. We, of course, continue that legacy in the diocese today. We say that we're a community of love.
Claggett is a sacred space for its beauty and its spacious feeling as you walk in. Everything about it invites rest and renewal. Just driving up to Claggett gives you a sense of the beauty of creation, but especially when you take the walks on the trails. I love walking the trails and seeing the natural life come to its expression. Walking the labyrinth, praying the labyrinth in the midst of a field, the sound of the river in the background is a truly transformational moment, transcendent in its power.
There in the fields here, going down that path from Claggett, you'll find a path that leads to the slave grave site. Every time I have some time to give, I make a pilgrimage to that site. Because that is here at Claggett, it reminds us of the work that we continually need to do. We say that we're a community of love, yes, but love on a social scale is called justice. And if we're going to address the issues of justice, let it be a place where we can all gather at one place. What better place to do that than a barn?
Since the Christiane Inn was built and the conference center over the last 20 years, we've really seen an uptick in serving large groups like Marilyn Curcio. We serve a lot of Jesuit and religious school groups, and we also serve a lot of secular groups.
I think seeing how youth from the Diocese of Maryland and the Diocese of Washington come together, and then also just with other young people and children from the region, has been a really exciting way to see the summer camp ministry grow and be enriched.
So the barn was selected from the many options at Claggett through a very thorough and prayerful process. And in the end, we committed to raising funds for this barn so that it could be turned into a space of transformation for worship, for dances, for camps, and then now also a dining space underneath, which will really serve the needs of children and youth for many, many years to come. Our board leadership at the moment includes 14 devoted Claggett leaders coming from both the Diocese of Washington and the Diocese of Maryland. We've come to this point in this project because of that sound leadership. This board has come together to create a vision for the next several years that centers on ministries with children and youth. And this barn is a big part in that process.
You see the barn, you think music, you think dancing, you think boisterous people having a great time. And you think of young people especially who gravitate to that energy like moths to light. And that's what I think the barn will give. That will allow a completely different dimension of spiritual grounding to happen here. And so there will be a lot of joy and exuberance at Claggett as a result of the barn when it's in its full expression.
So we are standing in what would have been the stables. These are where the animals would have been kept. And we know, based on where these posts were, where the doorways were for the young boys in the boys' school when they would come in the morning to feed and care for the animals. We're going to put traditional doors back on the outside. And for the rest of its life, students and young people and adults will actually come through the feed aisles to go get fed in the dining hall.
When I heard about the barn campaign, I jumped at the opportunity because I knew it would be a means of getting the word into more and more of our congregations about the gift of Claggett, the potential of it, and the opportunities, particularly for our young people.
We were awarded by the state of Maryland the first award for a barn in historic preservation for $760,000. We're currently applying for a similar tax credit from the federal government to continue raising funds to preserve this barn and repurpose it. And so now we are going public with the campaign seeking to rebuild this barn and repurpose it. It's a $3 million campaign to imagine this barn in new and fresh ways and really make a change in our ministries with children and youth and sometimes adults.
I was asked to serve as the co-chair for the campaign for the barn, and I was happy to say yes. And it also prompted some thoughts within myself in terms of what I would want to contribute. I also wanted to ensure others that I wasn't asking them to do something that I didn't also really believe in and was willing to gladly support.
It was getting away out of my everyday environment and going to a place of refreshment that called me to my spiritual center, that as a 17-year-old, a teenager, I committed my life to Christ because of camp. It's that important. If you believe in the future, give to this effort. If you want your young people to mix in with people of all sorts of different backgrounds and expand their worldviews, give to this effort. I am, and I hope they are too.